to the Call of Cinephile. My name is Sydney Hatfield. Today we will be reviewing Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, and Jude Law, among many others, and directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. So how did this Marvel film stack up? Here to talk about it with me is Anakin.
Howdy.
So, tell us about the plot.
So basically it's kind of like, what I've read online is it's just basically like phase one Marvel movie, like, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, but with like a slight twist, like
Yeah.
a nice...
For me, it definitely felt like that because, I really enjoyed this movie, but it kind of didn't feel like anything like really special in terms of Marvel films. I guess that's a good way to put it. It definitely feels more like a phase one film. And I guess in terms of introducing this character and getting her ready for Endgame, we kind of need that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes like a lot of key elements that like we know in like the MCU right now, and like shows us like where it started and stuff like that, like how Nick Fury lost his eye, and just the little pager that he had in the end of Infinity War,
Yeah, it definitely sets up a lot of what we see in past films. So in a lot of ways, this is a prequel. But how is about the acting? We kind of talked about amongst ourselves here in the Cinephile that there's been some harsh criticisms towards Brie Larson's performance. And in some ways, I kind of see where they're coming from. Because the way that I put it is like, you can kind of tell she's acting, but I don't think by any means her performance was bad at all.
Yeah. See, our fellow cinephile, Isaiah Valverde. Daniel Valverde.
Daniel.
So he hasn't seen the movie yet, right? So he was asking us like how Brie Larson's acting was. You were saying that it was good acting, but it wasn't like, anything phenomenal,
Right.
It was just basic. For me, to act the part of Captain Marvel and Brie Larson was just perfect, honestly, because like Captain Marvel is a character that doesn't take anything from anyone. Like, she's trying to figure out who she is, where she came from, and why she has these powers, you know? So that's what I liked about Brie Larson, is that she made it seem like, she always crosses her arms, she doesn't talk to anyone like on Earth or anything else like that, because like, she's on a mission to find out who she really is. And I thought that was phenomenal acting right there,
Yeah, I definitely think that's fair. And of course, this being a Marvel film, there are some funny moments. So what do you think of the jokes?
In the beginning, they were pretty rough, not gonna lie. Some of them, whenever I went to go see the movie in Alamo, there were like cringy jokes that like, all the moms and the old people were like, but like me, I was like, eh.
Yeah.
But like throughout the second act and like the final act of the movie, Joke City up in there. Goose the cat. Oh yes. My goodness, Goose the cat.
Goose is honestly the standout character for this movie, which it's not ironic, but I'm going to kind of transition into talking about CGI here. The CGI in this movie, of course it's great. Marvel movies they always have really good CGI. The de-aging on Samuel L. Jackson and I forget his name.
That one character
Phil Coulson, they brought him back, which is great, of course. They de-aged him as well. The de-aging is fantastic. It's great. It looks so good. Like, you can't even tell. It's like, yeah, that's definitely Sam Jackson from the 90s, but it's not. but then, the cat, you can very clearly tell it's CGI.
Do you remember the scene whenever they're on a plane, there's a scene where Goose the cat and Captain Marvel on a plane, and like you could tell he's floating upside down, like you could see like the computer generated images, and you're just like, okay.
Exactly, I know. Yeah. Like, I feel like it was pretty noticeable throughout the movie, but then right there it was like, that's really noticeable. And it was weird because like I caught this one part in the credits, which usually I don't read the credits because no one really does. Sorry, all the people who put their hard work and tears into this movie. But I did see that it said Goose was provided by like Animals for Hollywood, I think it was. And then I'm thinking like, well, if there was a cat, like a real cat, why is there a CGI cat in this movie? Very clearly CGI. And it's very confusing because it's not like the cat talks. The cat is a special cat, which we won't spoil. But other than that, like, you know, there's, I don't know why it was CGI.
Yeah, I guess they just used a real cat for like the little cutesy scenes when you first meet him and stuff like that, and then like the CGI was like, you know, the
I honestly could tell right off the bat that it
honestly.
was. Yeah.
The one thing that you and I were like both wanting to talk about, like you were talking about in the studio, is the CGI with Brie Larson's like fire and like her photon blast and like everything. Whenever she realized who she was and like she like learned to like use and like understand her powers and like she was like, whoosh, you know, like I was like, I clapped and it was such a good scene, honestly.
Yeah, I know she's a really badass character and like her powers are so cool and just I'm really excited to see how they're going to integrate her into Endgame and future films because she's a really cool character. But so let's move on to our final point, which is the soundtrack, which I don't have too much to say about, but you kind of mentioned it.
Two things were the soundtrack and editing. The soundtrack was like, you know, female, like, hoorah, female power, you know? Like, I get that, but it was like, like something with like Genie in a bottle or something like that. And I'm kind of a music phobe, or not a music phobe, the music cinephile, you know?
Right. Yeah, I get what you mean.
The equivalent of someone who really likes songs and music, you know? Yeah.
There's a name for it, but we can't think of it
exactly.
right now.
So the soundtrack was kind of like lackluster, honestly, until you hear the Avengers theme in the end, you know? Is that spoilers? My bad, sorry. Nah, that's fine. Okay,
we all
cool.
know she's going to show up.
Exactly, yeah, so it's all good. But the editing is what got to me. I don't know if it's the fact that like I've been editing our videos for the past 4 months here in Cinephile, but like you could kind of tell that certain shots do not go together and do not mesh well. But some of them just did not look appealing to me. Like you see Brie Larson like leaning like next to like a door or something like that, and then like the very next shot she's like standing up, and you're just like, how did she?
So it has some continuity errors.
Yeah, going from a door to like just standing up doesn't seem like so major, but like to an editor's standpoint, it's just like that hurts, you know. Like you want to see a smooth transition.
You know, we talk about this in like my film production or not film, it's video production and editing, but like sometimes like you have to go with just the best take, and so you know you try to keep in continuity as best as you can, but ultimately what comes down to is what was the best take of that shot. And so that was probably just the best take, and it unfortunately lacked some continuity.
But this movie gives my official seal of my first ever 5 out of 5 reels. This movie deserves a 10 out of 5 reels. We don't have an animation for that. I'm sorry, Marcus and Anakin, but it was such a good movie.
Future Anakin.
Future Anakin, the editor. 5 out of 5.
I'm a little more strict because, like I said, I did really, really, really enjoy this movie. It's a movie that I'm definitely going to go back to in the future. But it just, to me, it wasn't anything standout phenomenal. So for me, it definitely doesn't get a 5 out of 5. It gets more of like a 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's your opinion. Yeah. No big deal. You know, some people didn't like Thor: The Dark World. I thought it was all right. It wasn't, you know, crazy.
That one was especially not good. Sorry.
I thought it was all right. So, you know, to each their own. I think this movie is 5 out of 5. Perfect. You should go see it. It's like Spider-Verse was a 5 out of 5 too. And this is a good 5 out of 5 for me too. It's a good movie. Live action.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. What did you think of Captain Marvel? Tell us down in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content from us. We'll see you next time.
Shout out to Stan Lee.